Have you ever wondered why Trump is so anti-immigrant? Is Trump doing this for America, or is there an even more sinister reason for his anti-immigrant stance? In this video, we'll reveal the hidden reason behind Mr. Trump's anti-immigrant stance. This video is a must-watch, so stay tuned till the end.
Under Biden, other countries are emptying out their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions and sending them right here to the USA. Can you imagine? Prisons and mental institutions are being emptied out. I read a story not long ago where a man who takes care of a large segment of people in a mental institution in a South American country, a doctor, sounded like a great man actually. He said he no longer has anything to do. He used to work 24-hour days. He said, all of our patients have been released into the United States of America.
Mr. Trump appeared at the city of Phoenix after his New York City indictment. He attacked President Biden's immigration and border policies. He used anti-immigrant conspiracy theories to rile up the crowd over the humanitarian crisis along the US-Mexico border. Let's take a look at what these anti-immigrant conspiracy theories are about.
But what's often been missing from the discussion around this shooting is how it neatly fits into a pattern of white supremacist terror attacks directly inspired by the Christchurch mosque massacres of 2019. This is how racist conspiracy theory and emerging tech platforms have combined to create the template for a chilling new form of gamified, live-streamed far-right terror.
And this morning, we're getting an exclusive look at the moment the shooter was arrested and the warning signs that were missed.
Investigators are going to be pouring through multiple online posts that this alleged shooter made.
Before his attack, the Buffalo shooter released a manifesto on Discord, largely centered around a conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement, a fantasist notion that there's a shadowy plot to replace white people in Europe and the US with non-white immigrants.
Yes, folks, that's the Great Replacement conspiracy theory. It's causing mass shootings in our country. And this theory is the driving force behind Mr. Trump's rhetoric. Mr. Trump has repeatedly threatened tougher and tougher immigration laws. He said that Joe Biden is pro-invasion, pro-child trafficking, pro-women trafficking, pro-drug dealing, pro-death, pro-illegal immigration, the worst president in history. Joe, you're fired. Mr. Trump also had the controversial former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio on stage with him, who was famous for the rampant use of racial profiling against Latinos. Let's take a look at who Joe Arpaio is and what he has done.
Arpaio became sheriff in 1993. He quickly became known for his unorthodox practices, such as requiring inmates to wear pink underwear, work on chain gangs, and live in an outdoors tent city jail even during the scorching Phoenix summers. In the early 2000s, he shifted his attention to illegal immigration.
Of course, the illegal immigration problem that's been going on for years, very controversial. No one seems to do anything about it.
In 2008, Arpaio's practices led to federal officials investigating the sheriff's office for potential civil rights violations.
First, we found that MCSO engages in a pattern or practice of unconstitutional policing. Specifically, MCSO engages in racial profiling of Latinos and unlawfully stops, detains, and arrests Latinos.
Yep, that's who Joe Arpaio is, a racist. Arpaio was later convicted of criminal contempt in a 2-decade-old class action lawsuit. So we have Trump on stage and we have Arpaio. They're talking about making life extremely difficult for the immigrants because they believe in the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, and they're selling this theory that is responsible for several mass shootings. This is bad for America. Now let's take a look at a clip in which Mr. Trump was asked how he would solve the migrant problem.
You said that you can take care of the border in 24 hours after taking office. How will you gather the several millions that have already entered our country illegally and return them to their country of origin?
Great question. It's not sustainable for our country. We have millions and millions of people here. It is not sustainable. Did you see in New York City where they're getting the regular students out and they're putting migrants in their place? We are going to have the largest deportation effort in the history of our country.
Greatest deportation in the history of our country? Mr. Trump wants to deport all migrants because he believes that they're secretly planning to replace us. Wow. There seems to be no end to Mr. Trump's dislike for immigrants. He even blamed Biden for a migrant accused of shooting 2 NYPD cops. Mr. Trump said just this week, 2 brave officers of the New York Police Department were shot in Queens by a Biden migrant who Crooked Joe released into our country. This monster infiltrated from Venezuela and was quickly given administrative amnesty by Joe Biden, along with a taxpayer-funded hotel room, while he engaged in multiple suspected robberies before shooting 2 of the New York's finest. Mr. Trump seems to believe that every immigrant is a potential terrorist. However, Mr. Trump will have a hard time enacting this anti-immigrant plan because the American Civil Liberties Union is already preparing a fight back against Mr. Trump. ACLU has already successfully stopped several of Mr. Trump's anti-immigration plans during his previous tenure. Let's look at a clip.
We're going to expand the litigation to challenge the executive order wholesale, that is with regard to both people who have already arrived in the U.S. and people who are overseas. What is clear is that notwithstanding what the White House is saying, it is a Muslim ban. He said that all through the campaign, he continued to say it, and what he did ultimately is someone said, take out a few words and maybe you can no longer say it's a Muslim ban, it's just based on territory. We intend to prove in court that the intent behind it is that it's a Muslim ban. You cannot, under our Constitution, disfavor certain religions and favor others. That's not only unconstitutional, but it's antithetical to American values. We're gearing up for a big battle. We have no illusions that the White House won't fight it hard.
The ACLU says they're going to fight it hard. The American Civil Liberties Union filed more than 400 legal challenges against former President Donald Trump's administration during his last tenure in the White House. The ACLU has stated that they're going to challenge the Alien Enemies Act of 1789, which could allow Mr. Trump to unilaterally detain and deport some non-citizens. The ACLU further added that they are also prepared to challenge the Insurrection Act, which gives the president powers to use the military as a domestic police force. Given the ACLU's track record, it seems it would be extremely difficult for Mr. Trump to enact his anti-immigration policies if he gets elected. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. God bless America.